Natasha had always tried to keep her head down at school, blending in with the crowd. But that became impossible when she caught the attention of Ashley, the school's queen bee and notorious bully. It started with taunts, whispered insults as Natasha walked by, giggles from Ashley's entourage echoing through the hallways. When words weren't enough, Ashley escalated. She tripped Natasha in the crowded corridor, sending her sprawling to the floor as laughter erupted around her. But nothing compared to the humiliation Natasha faced that one dreadful morning. Just before class, as students shuffled into their seats, Ashley and her minions crept up behind Natasha. Without warning, they poured thick, sticky glue all over her hair, laughing cruelly as it dripped and hardened. The classroom erupted with laughter. Natasha's cheeks burned with shame. Tears streamed down her face as she bolted from the room, heart pounding in her chest. The humiliation was overwhelming. The principal, though sympathetic, could offer only hollow reassurances when Natasha reported the incident. The bully received a mere today suspension, a slap on the wrist. Meanwhile, Natasha was left to grapple with the aftermath. That evening, she and her mother worked for hours to wash away the glue. When it became clear that it wouldn't come out, Natasha's only choice was to shave her head. She cried as the last locks of her hair fell, feeling as if the bullies had stolen a piece of her identity. But while Natasha despaired, her mother's fury burned white hot. She saw the pain in her daughter's eyes, the way Natasha flinched at shadows and shied away from mirrors. Enough was enough. Natasha's mother, a quiet but resourceful woman, vowed to fight back not with fists or anger, but with something far more powerful: resilience and justice. The first step of her plan was ensuring Natasha would never feel alone again. She organized a hair-shaving event at their community center, inviting anyone who wanted to stand in solidarity. The turnout was overwhelming. Friends, neighbors, even local news reporters showed up. Dozens shaved their heads alongside Natasha, each buzz of the clippers a defiant declaration against bullying. Natasha felt a surge of hope as she saw the crowd gathered for her. Meanwhile, Ashley's life took an unexpected turn. The community was no longer willing to tolerate her cruelty. Once admired for her confidence, she now found herself isolated. Teachers kept a watchful eye, peers turned their backs. And when her own parents were forced to confront the consequences of her actions, they enrolled her in mandatory counseling sessions. As the weeks passed, Natasha began to regain her confidence. She found strength in speaking out, turning her experience into a platform to help others. She and her mom traveled to schools, sharing their story and encouraging students to stand up against bullying. Natasha no longer felt afraid to walk the halls of her school. Instead, she held her head high, her shaven hair a badge of honor. Her mother's revenge wasn't about retaliation, it was about transformation. The pain that once shattered Natasha became the catalyst for change, creating a ripple effect of compassion and strength. And in the end, it wasn't just Natasha who was empowered, it was an entire community that learned to stand together against injustice. As Natasha and her mom's anti-bullying campaign gained momentum, their message began to resonate far beyond their town. Invitations poured in from schools and community centers, asking them to speak and share their journey of resilience. Each time Natasha stood before a crowd, her voice grew stronger. What once brought her tears and shame was now a source of empowerment. But the story didn't end there. One day, as Natasha and her mother prepared for another speaking engagement, an unexpected visitor arrived at their door. It was Ashley, the bully who had caused Natasha so much pain. She stood there, fidgeting nervously, her eyes unable to meet Natasha's. Natasha's mom tensed, unsure of what this visit might mean. But Natasha took a deep breath and invited Ashley in. Over the next few minutes, a flood of raw, emotional words poured out of Ashley. She spoke of her struggles at home, the constant pressure to be perfect, the turmoil of feeling invisible unless she was tearing someone else down. Her voice cracked as she apologized, tears streaming down her face. Natasha listened in silence, her mind swirling. This was the girl who had humiliated her in front of everyone. And yet, in that moment, Ashley seemed small, broken, and desperate for forgiveness. Natasha's heart warred within her, anger and compassion clashed. She thought of the sleepless nights, the fear, the humiliation. But she also thought of her mom's words about the cycle of pain and how it could end with one brave choice. After a long pause, Natasha extended her hand. "It doesn't erase what you did," she said softly, "but if you're willing to make things right, I'll work with you." The two girls began working together on the campaign, side by side. At first, their interactions were tense and awkward, but over time, they found a rhythm. Ashley spoke openly about her transformation and the dangers of allowing hurt to fester into cruelty. Her vulnerability inspired others who had once been bullies to come forward and seek redemption. As the campaign grew, Natasha and Ashley visited more schools, telling their story not just as a victim and a bully, but as to people who had chosen a different path together. Their message was one of accountability, healing, and the power of community. One day, Natasha found herself standing before the largest crowd, yet a stadium filled with students, parents, teachers, and community leaders. She felt a rush of nerves, but as she looked out, she saw countless faces, some scarred by pain, others filled with hope. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, telling her story one more time. When she finished, the applause was thunderous, but what mattered most were the conversations sparked that day, the whispers of change spreading like wildfire. Years later, Natasha went on to become a social worker, dedicating her life to helping at-risk youth. The experience that had once shattered her became her guiding light, reminding her that even in the darkest of moments, hope and change were possible. Ashley became a counselor, using her past to help other bullies understand the consequences of their actions and find healthier ways to cope with their struggles. And as for Natasha's mother, she continued to be a fierce advocate for children's rights, her love and determination a testament to what a mother's unwavering support could achieve. Together, they showed the world that while pain can tear people apart, it can also bring them together stronger, wiser, and more determined to create a world where no child would have to endure what Natasha once did. Their story became a symbol of what happens when people choose courage, compassion, and the resolve to make things better not just for themselves, but for everyone. Stand Together wasn't just about speeches and workshops, it was a platform for real change. Natasha and Ashley, along with their dedicated team, implemented programs that focused on building emotional resilience, conflict resolution, and empathy training. They worked tirelessly with schools to create safe spaces where students could share their experiences and seek support without judgment or fear. The initiative empowered countless young people to break free from cycles of pain and hate. One day, while attending a conference in a large metropolitan city, Natasha and Ashley were approached by a shy, soft-spoken girl named Mia. She had been severely bullied for months and was on the verge of leaving school altogether. As Mia spoke, Natasha saw the flicker of despair in her eyes, a mirror of the pain she had once known so well. Natasha hugged her tightly and whispered, "You are not alone. We're here for you." In that moment, Mia became a symbol of why they fought so hard every day. Mia's story, like so many others, fueled their determination. She joined Stand Together as a youth ambassador, using her experiences to inspire others. Soon, more and more students came forward, sharing their stories of transformation and hope. Stand Together became a network of survivors and allies, bound by their commitment to lifting one another up. But not everyone welcomed change so readily. There were those who clung to old habits, resistant to facing their own complicity. The campaign faced criticism, pushback, and moments of doubt. At times, Natasha wondered if the fight was too great, the obstacles too many. It was during one of these difficult moments, after receiving threats from anonymous sources resistant to their work, that Natasha found strength in a letter from an unexpected supporter. The letter came from a former student at Natasha's old school, a young man who had been a silent observer of her bullying. He admitted that fear and apathy had kept him from speaking out back then, but Natasha's courage had changed him. He wrote of how he had since dedicated his life to helping others, inspired by her resilience. "You showed me what bravery looks like," he wrote. "I'm with you now." Natasha read the letter over and over, each word a reminder that even the smallest seeds of kindness could grow into something much bigger. She shared the letter with Ashley, and together, they used it as a rallying cry, reigniting their passion and focus. Their movement spread beyond schools, reaching into the corridors of government. Natasha and Ashley lobbied for anti-bullying legislation, working alongside lawmakers to draft policies that prioritized mental health support, stricter disciplinary measures for bullies, and educational programs. In a historic victory, the Bullying Prevention and Accountability Act was passed, mandating comprehensive anti-bullying training in every school across the country. Years passed, and the impact of **Stand Together continued to ripple outward. Natasha and Ashley became renowned advocates, appearing on television, writing books, and collaborating with mental health experts and educators worldwide. Despite their accomplishments, they never forgot the roots of their mission: the pain of glue in Natasha's hair, the tears shed in the principal's office, and the quiet vow of a mother determined to protect her child. One crisp autumn evening, Stand Together hosted its largest event yet, a candlelight vigil and rally in the heart of the city. Thousands gathered, each holding a candle, their faces illuminated by flickering flames of hope. Natasha stood on the stage, gazing out at the sea of light. She took a deep breath and spoke, her voice unwavering. "This movement started with pain," she said, her words echoing in the stillness. "But pain does not have to define us. It can teach us, transform us, and unite us." To every person who has ever felt invisible, hurt, or afraid, you are seen, you are valued, and you are not alone. Together, we will create a world where compassion conquers cruelty and light overcomes darkness. When she finished, the crowd erupted in applause. Tears streamed down Natasha's face as she turned to Ashley, who nodded with a smile. The journey had been long and arduous, but it was far from over. And that was the beauty of it. They would keep fighting, keep loving, and keep standing together, lighting the way for those who needed it most. As the candles burned brightly, Natasha knew that even in the darkest moments, there would always be light. And with every flicker of hope, the world grew just a little bit brighter.